Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Our guest today is Jakob Counts. So Jacob, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Yeah, so I have a creative strategy service. I'm a freelancer right now. I'm going to transition to an agency, but I've been able to do a lot on my own with just using AI. I work with a lot of newsletters, so agencies, and then within those agencies, we work with a lot of newsletters, a lot of pretty big apps. And then I also have my own clients that are e-com clients, a lot of wellness stuff. I'm trying to transition more to wellness completely. It's a little more fun. And then the LTV is really good. Everybody needs creative strategy in those kind of brands.
Makes sense. And I guess I'm curious more about your background. Like, how did you kind of get into this industry?
So I started with just editing videos for like podcasts. I was doing short form content. And then I also did social media management where I was managing different Instagram accounts. So I'll do everything from the strategy to the editing to posting, every little piece of it. I realized that social media management isn't as valued, I guess, as like paid media, obviously. So I just decided to transition to paid media. I started doing media buying for a little while, but then I realized I like the creative more. So I've just been sticking to creative strategy because that's my passion. I feel like that's where my talent lies.
Makes sense. So I guess you were talking a bit about like different industries. So creative strategy obviously varies depending on what industry you're kind of going after. So are you kind of working with like any industry or, business size? Like what's like the ideal clients you kind of look for your business?
So based on my retainer and like what time I have available, I've kind of limited to clients that are spending at least $150,000 per month. Even that sometimes doesn't really work, but that, or I'd say 200K plus per month is like, I think the sweet spot because they're looking to scale up and they just need a lot more creative. So
makes sense.
Or systems, yeah.
And that's like any industry, right? It's more about ad spend into like any industry.
What do you mean by?
Yeah, because like you were saying that you're looking that like for you a client that makes sense of spending 150 to 200K plus per month on paid ads, but like is this a client that specifically e-commerce business, or can they be other industries like a SaaS product, or like what are you kind of looking for? Is that the only criteria, or is it like, hey, they have to be in this industry for it to make sense?
Yeah, I mean, before, like some of the clients I still have, I wasn't looking for anyone specific. I was just trying to get into the industry, and I'm still working with them, but it's been a while. So now I'm trying to transition just to wellness because I just want to have better systems where it's more like repeatable instead of having to learn a new industry constantly and like learning new apps, learning new newsletters. What's the standard? So it's just a lot.
Yeah, when you say wellness, is it like wellness services or is it like wellness products?
I want to do both.
Okay.
Specifically wellness, just because specifically health worries me a little bit. I feel my conscience is worried about that. Just selling certain products worries me, like, I guess just my morale, my values, I guess you could say.
Got it. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely lots of products that, are out there today. I think that's a good vantage point that you're looking to see if they align with what your values are. Because, it's definitely not good to promote something that you're not going to feel good about at the end of the day. I guess in terms of, growth, obviously you've been able to grow over the years, acquiring, clients and working with different types of businesses. How have you kind of been able to grow? Is it from like doing ads for your own business? Has it been from like going to like conferences, partnerships? Like what has been like the biggest way that you've been able to actually grow?
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest thing that helped me is looking where no one else is looking, because there's no shortage of information anywhere. You can find anything at any time, but most people aren't digging. Most people are digging in the same places. So if you're just getting stuff off the internet by just the internet, you're not reading, or I mean, there's not like a ton of other ways, but it's just looking in areas where it's like it's not as loud, I guess. It's like groups, books that people aren't reading. Like most people have read the majority of the popular marketing books, but
Right.
I think if you go digging in just random stuff like philosophy or just subjects that aren't even related, you can uncover some stuff that's like it connects somehow. You know what I mean? So just being curious and
So you're saying those books have kind of given you the framework to go and like use different strategies to go and acquire clients for your own business.
I would say not necessarily acquiring clients. That's part of it, but I'd say just creative strategy in general. It'd be both. Yeah. Just looking places where
For
I
sure.
don't think anyone else is looking, where I'm like, this is weird, but I could find something
All
here.
right. Yeah, and I guess like when it's come to acquiring clients, like what has been? Because you were saying obviously kind of looking, people aren't looking. So has that been paid ads? Has that been on different channels? Has that been certain niche events that you like? Yeah, I guess I'm curious about that.
Okay, yeah. So for me getting my own clients, it's been strictly on X, 100%. And that's all through, I do comment when people post jobs. Sometimes I have to convince people that they don't need a full-time creative strategist because I'm more of like a fractional senior creative strategist. So I've gotten a lot of jobs and opportunities that way, just convincing people that most of them don't need it, or the ones that I tell that they don't need it. But I mostly get inbound leads from content marketing, so just organic posting on X and commenting. But
That's awesome. Yeah, X is a
again,
great platform.
yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say also just having your banner set up, looking professional, and then just having a pinned post made like a huge difference for me. Was having a pinned post with my process.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that X is obviously a great platform. You also have many people that are searching for those things that are growing businesses, and people that there are definitely people that are more public and out there. But you also have many people that are sort of kind of incognito, and you don't really know who they are or what they until they actually go and reach out to you.
Yeah, what's crazy is most people that reach out to me, they're in incognito, so
Yeah,
like
that,
5
yeah.
followers or something.
Exactly, exactly. And I guess, yeah, I mean, it seems like, obviously that you've grown a lot. So for you, like, are you thinking about like hiring a team or hiring more people as you're building up like this agency? Or are you kind of looking to be like, hey, like people want to work with you and like you're the face and like not really hiring people? Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's kind of a dilemma I'm in where I do need the trust of my personal brand gives me the authority and the trust. So if I were to give that work to somebody else, it could be an issue. So I think what I want to do is just really work on my using AI, using my systems to be able to hire people, but still have myself in there able to revise everything and look at everything, but more like overlooking strategy, like high level strategy rather than executing. That's the main thing, is because I think a lot of competent creative strategists can execute. I think where the opportunity lies and where I think I'm best is the high level thinking, the research, the strategy analysis. So I think there's people even better than me that are probably not doing as much as me, but are probably more skilled than me for sure. So I just want to be able to put those people in that position to succeed, and then myself in a position where I can help them succeed even more.
For sure. And I guess in terms of like the, overall vision, like, are you thinking to like just keep doing this, or would you want to start like your own wellness company? I feel like many, media buyers and strategists, because you understand like the framework, always have in the back of their mind of like, hey, I want to do this myself.
I've definitely thought about it. I think what I would want to do, what I've learned from trying so many different things, is that I really need to stick with one thing. So what I'd love to do is just get equity in a brand and just have them let me do exactly what I do best and see how that goes. That's like long-term thinking, but as far as that would be my plan.
That's smart. Yeah, like, I love that idea. Yeah, I think that it's a good way for you to kind of create this win-win where you kind of are doing the same thing that you're doing now, but you also are setting yourself up big. Hey, like, I want to be an owner. I can be a part owner of a brand, and you can be like as part of the upside. Obviously, ideally, if they sell, then you can also be part of an even bigger upside. So that's a really, really good goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So I guess in terms of like doing this for a while, you were talking about kind of like getting into this some years ago. I'm curious if we can just take us, like a few steps back into your background, because you were saying that you've tried different things. I'm assuming you had other ventures in entrepreneurship that weren't successful that kind of led you to this point. So if you can just share with our audience a bit more about those ventures and like what you tried and like, getting to kind of where you're at now.
Sure. Yes. Going back to when I was like 21, I think, I started doing a clothing brand that led me into, it was like a streetwear brand that led me into doing like nightlife events in Hollywood, where I was organizing events, like hiring DJs, hiring the artists to perform, and then, promoting. And then after that, I was selling sports cards for a little while. I'm not sure where on the timeline that is. So flipping stuff. And then I started, the most recent though, some years back, was I had a used car dealership with some high school friends. Didn't end well, but I mean, all of it went decently well, but it wasn't like, I didn't see a future in any of these things.
So you sold out. So you sold like your portion, like in the used car dealership, or was it just like, yeah, I mean, like whatever you can share. Like, I don't want to get you in trouble, but yeah, I'm curious. Like maybe you can share kind of like a bit of like whatever you can about like and what happened and kind of what you learned from that. 'Cause I think it's something where people can work with friends. Sometimes it can go really well, and sometimes it doesn't go as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a big one, was everyone telling me don't work with friends. So I thought I knew better. I'm not saying it can't work, but I was like, I thought I was totally the one that could make it work. But I think if you're working with friends, I think the biggest thing is just to make sure that everyone knows their exact role, and not to put those friends in those positions just because they're your friends or just because you trust them, because a lot of times they don't have the skills to do that job, and there's many more people that can do the job better. I think that was the biggest thing. And also just making sure you have something where you can even have 3 people in the business. A lot of people will just like start forming groups at the beginning and thinking more heads means more productivity or more revenue. But at the end of the day, that's usually just, if they're not good at what they're doing, it's going to eat into all the profit.
So you're saying that you had friends that were working with you that were, you could say, not as productive and efficient, and so then they were a partner technically on paper, but they weren't, putting in the work of a partner, so that was eating into your margin. Then you basically had to hire someone to do the work, but like that they were supposed to be doing, essentially.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. It's, I've been very fortunate because like one of my partners is a good friend of mine. One, and there's 3 of us, and one of them I happened to like, I was his client. Like, obviously like we're like friends now, but I didn't. Like, he was not a friend, but exactly, like it works out because we have very clear and defined roles, and we're all like hustling. But yeah, when you have someone that's to your point, Jacob, that's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then next thing you know, you're cutting into margin to hire someone to do what they should be doing. That's obviously not a good business. So yeah, like you get so out of that, and then you kind of fell into editing videos and creative strategy to kind of what you're doing now, essentially.
Yeah, that's amazing that you have a friend that you've made it work with. Jealous for sure. Like the dream, like coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah, not to say that we don't and haven't had arguments and disagreements, but I think for me the way I view it, and that's kind of like why actually I had a different friend before, and it didn't work out the first time, but look with the other friend. So, but we're still friends. It's fine. Like, and I just said, dude, like he was being lazy. Like, you don't want to do this. I can tell. Like, it's fine. We can just, and he was cool with it. We're still friends. We just mutually just parted ways. But yeah, I think it's like, when I brought in this other friend, he joined a bit later, and so we started because I didn't give him equity from the get go. I said, listen, like, just because I learned from that previous situation, like, if you want to do it, you can do it great, and if not, then we'll see. Kind of, yeah. So that's pretty much how like it worked out. But he was not a partner from day one. He became like a partner over time.
Yeah, I think that's a way better way to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So I guess like if you could go back in time to before you started this business and before you even got into entrepreneurship, besides the friend thing that you mentioned, but I mean, if you can share some other advice that you wish you knew before you got started.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of stuff. I think the biggest thing would be just sticking to one thing. Like I said earlier, like I bounced around. Well, at the same time though, you do have to try things, but I think actually not sticking to one thing, I think that's the second step. I think the first step is realizing what you're good at and finding a way to make money with what you're good at naturally. Because I feel like I've been good at what I do now for my entire life, but I didn't know how to make money from it or how to create leverage for myself using that skill. And I think once I figured it out, it's been like super easy and it's just been going well.
That's awesome. So if you can share with their audience, if they want to reach out to you and work with you, like your X website, like where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on X. It's Jakob Counts, Jakob Counts 123. So that's the best way to reach me. I'm always on Twitter. So
awesome. Well, Jacob, thanks so much for your time, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thanks for the invite. Glad we made it happen finally.
Awesome. Well, one second, I just got